That summer, Jarrah flew on a one-way ticket to visit ISIL in Germany. It remains unclear whether he intended to return to the US to complete the mission. In Hamburg, bin al-Shibr met Jarrah and persuaded him to see the plan through.
Jarrah actually nearly flipped at more than one point. Probably would have withdrawn. And Ramzi bin al-Shibr told me that he had to talk to Ziad Jarrah himself to calm him down.
In mid-August, Jarrah flew back to the United States. Shortly after his return, Jarrah left Atta a voicemail message. Atta's mobile phone and the message were later recovered from a rental car found at the Portland International Jetport in Maine. On the message, Jarrah refers to Atta as his boss. The message suggests that Jarrah had rededicated himself to Atta and their mission. The Hamburg cell now began making their final preparations for the attacks. Atta and al-Shehi would hit the World Trade Center, Jarrah the Capitol building, and a fourth pilot, a 29-year-old Saudi named Hani Hanjour, would strike the Pentagon. Hanjour had been chosen by al-Qaeda to replace Ramzi bin al-Shibr as the fourth pilot. If any pilot could not reach his assigned target, he was to crash the plane. Mohammed Atta chose the date of the attacks. According to bin al-Shibr, Atta conveyed the message to him in the form of a riddle: a lollipop, a slash, and two branches. 9/11. The September 11th plot was just hours away from completion. The work of the Hamburg cell was nearly finished. On the 10th of September, 3 members of the cell, along with 16 other hijackers, moved into position. Mohammed Atta and another hijacker hired a rental car and drove from Boston to Portland, Maine. They checked into a motel and ate their final meal at Pizza Hut. The men withdrew some money from a cash machine and went shopping at Walmart. An al-Qaeda operative sent the hijackers a handwritten note preparing them for their part of the mission. One was later found in Atta's luggage. In it were instructions for battle. One section titled "The Last Night" ordered Atta to steel himself for what lay ahead. "Vow to accept death," it read. "Obey God and his messenger, and do not quarrel together, and so lose heart." That night, Ziad Jarrah wrote a chilling letter to his girlfriend. "My dear ISIL, I did what I was supposed to do. You should be very proud of me. It's an honor, and you will see the results, and everybody will be happy." On the morning of the 11th of September, Jarrah made a final phone call to ISIL. When she answered, he told her 3 times he loved her, then hung up. According to flight bookings, the men traveled under their own names and had little trouble at airport security. Later that morning, 19 terrorists boarded 4 different aircraft. At about 8:25 a.m., air traffic controllers in Boston heard Mohammed Atta's voice transmitting from the cockpit of American Airlines Flight 11.
"We have some planes, just stay quiet and we'll be okay. We're returning to the airport."
21 minutes later, at 8:46 a.m., Atta struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 17 minutes later, Marwan al-Shehi flew United Airlines Flight 175 into the South Tower. The death toll, 2,759. Less than an hour later, at 9:37, Hani Hanjour flew American Airlines Flight 77 into the southwest side of the Pentagon, killing 189 people. Due to the courageous actions of passengers aboard United Airlines Flight 93, Ziad Jarrah never reached his target, the Capitol building. In a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, all 44 people aboard lost their lives. In-air transmissions and recordings indicate that Jarrah had every intention of completing his mission.
These 19 people beat hands down, overwhelmingly, our entire security and defense system. 19 people attack the most powerful country on the face of the earth and succeed. That is what is so surprising and so sad about this.
Since the 9/11 attacks, many agree that major terrorist organizations have been weakened by US actions, but the violence continues. On the 11th of March 2004, 10 bombs were detonated in train stations across Madrid, killing 191 people. Shortly after the bombings, Spanish police cornered 7 suspects. The men, holed up in an apartment, were heard chanting religious verses, then blew themselves up. On the 7th of July 2005, London was hit by a series of explosions. "56 people died and 700 were wounded. The attacks in Madrid, London, and elsewhere are horrifying reminders that terror cells, like the Hamburg cell, continue to operate. Authorities in both Europe and the United States still struggle to understand why they failed to identify the danger posed by the 4 young men who met in Hamburg and went on to become killers for their faith.
If there's something that continues to keep me up at night, left over from the 9/11 Commission, it's the fact that we didn't fully understand what the terrorists did in the United States, what kind of support network they had here, who was helping them, if that network is still here, if it can be energized and motivated, instructed to step forward by a message from Osama bin Laden even today.
The perpetrators of the next attack may well be hiding in plain sight, just as the Hamburg cell did, avoiding detection until it is too late.
There's no shortage of people out there willing to defend their faith. But I don't think you can begin to stop it until you understand it. We're going to be continued to be surprised by who turns out to be the attackers.
If it hadn't been for them, it probably would have been somebody else. They were the ones who were asked, they were the ones who agreed, they were the ones who succeeded.